Racket back. Racket back earlier. You're late. Lead with your hands. Contact in front. Good.
If you've ever taken a tennis lesson in your life, even just one, then you've heard these phrases, racket back early and out in front. Unfortunately, these phrases are old, outdated, and they just plain don't work. And in this lesson, I'm going to explain why and show you what to focus on instead so that you can hit ground strokes with better timing, more effortless power, and just more comfortable in general. Let's dive right into it. So if you teach tennis or play tennis and you've been around the game for a while, then you've seen lots of swings like this one. And I want to start this lesson off by being very clear. I'm not talking down to other coaches or bagging on coaches who use the phrases that we're talking about today. I totally get it. I've been teaching tennis a long time, and I used to use these same phrases, racket back early, out in front, all the other, cliches, step across and punch, before I dove deeper into the game and I learned better about what was actually going on behind the scenes. And this type of contact point is super common across amateur players. And on the surface, it's very easy to attribute this to just, the racket's back behind. This is an uncomfortable contact point. It's obviously not very strong or athletic. So either the swing was late, AKA racket back early. So take the racket back and you won't be late on the next one. Get it back soon enough and your swing will be on time, right? Or just simply, even more generically, just get your racket further in front. Unfortunately, both of those are surface level. They're symptoms of the larger problem. Let's switch over to a different player and I'll kind of illustrate what's happening here. Here's Roger Federer. He's kind of the poster child for doing the opposite of what the other player we looked at. And by the way, not to disparage her at all, so many players have that same kind of contact position. Roger has this unique way and kind of a special way of making contact way out in front of himself. And there's many reasons for this. How relaxed he is, the grip he uses, the style of hitting that he does with his arm really extended and straight. But there's a core underlying reason why he's even able to get to this position in the first place. And here's where we're gonna kind of do a little bit of compare and contrast back and forth. Roger, at his setup position, before he swings towards the ball, his hips and his chest are both facing towards the camera. Now, as he swings forwards, I want you to watch how his chest starts moving forward before his racket does, and it's his chest that pulls his racket forwards. And that's why he creates lag in the first place. It's because his arm and hand are real relaxed and his chest is leading the way and his hips are leading the way. The big, strong, stable parts of the body are leading the swing and then the racket follows behind. And so by the time he makes contact with the ball, watch the logo on his shirt, how it's completely disappeared from sight when he makes contact. Meanwhile, check out the stripe on his shorts, how it's facing the camera. At his setup position, we don't see any of the stripe on his shorts. So both his hips and his chest have gone through a full transition to face towards the net before he meets the ball. And it's that rotation that pulls the arm and clears it out in front of the body. And there's other things, I'm simplifying it and boiling it down to this key point. But in my experience, this is the key element. This is the key thing that holds players back. So with that in mind, kind of fresh in your brain, let's go back to this player and watch the movement that she uses with her body as she sets up for that shot. On setup, she looks pretty solid. Her hips and her shoulders are facing towards the camera, just like Roger. And most tennis players get this right. They've been told, turn to the side, get your racket back a million times, right? You've heard those phrases. But watch the difference between her hips and her shoulders between here and contact. How much did her hips and her shoulders turn between setup and contact? Almost none. And so this, for me, I've realized over the years of using video with every student, this is the core element. This is the thing that holds players back from hitting that solid, strong contact position. So now that we've done a little bit of analysis, let's go to the courts, and I'm going to show you how to fix this and how not to fix this. If you want to learn how to analyze and fix all of your own tennis strokes, make sure to grab a free account at essentialtennisacademy.com. We have all kinds of coaching modules, and one of them is called Stroke Analysis Checkpoints, where we show you for every swing in the game what your setup, contact position, and follow-through should be, so you can know exactly what to focus on in your own game. Grab a free account right now at essentialtennisacademy.com. So within the context of the swing technique habits that we just saw from that player, and that's what we're talking about here, is habits with the body. Does the body initiate and does it do most of the work? Or is the arm initiating and doing most of the work? That's the root issue here. So within the context of that kind of habit, imagine that swing that we just saw from that example student, which again I see all the time. Within that context, when we think about asking that student to just simply go further out in front and just hit it in front, well, as long as the body is still sideways as the ball reaches the racket, I can only go so far out in front of my body. If my hips haven't cleared and my shoulders haven't cleared, I can't hit the ball out in front because I'm just blocked. The body has to clear first in order to find that nice contact position. And then secondly, the second instruction of racket back early, to be very clear, many players take their racket back and prepare way too late. But the earliest preparation in the world before the ball bounces doesn't make any difference if it's the arm that's still doing the work and the body doesn't initiate. So I don't care how early you take your racket back, if your hips and chest don't lead the swing, you're still going to be caught in a late contact position. But unfortunately, a lot of coaches and a lot of players, many of you at home, are focusing on the symptom. The symptom is late contact. But the true underlying issue frequently is that the body is not initiating and it's not doing most of the work. So here's a drill you can do right now to develop that new habit. If this video has already been helpful before we get to the drills and it's kind of illuminated this topic for you a little bit, do me a favor and click that like button. Thank you so much. It helps these videos out a lot. So let me show you two different drills here that you can do to work on this. The first, I'm just going to use an elastic. This is like a exercise or like PT, kind of stretch band. Not a lot of resistance. The idea here is just to get a little bit of pull, a little bit of resistance, not very much. And what I'm going to do is get myself set up as if I'm preparing to hit a forehand ground stroke. So my racket would be in my dominant hand, and I'm just coming across with my non-dominant hand. And I'm going to practice here, dropping my hand and leading with my hips and my chest. Now, this is an exaggerated position. You don't have to tell me in the comments, like, this position isn't where I actually want to be in real life. This is a feel exercise to start to reprogram the mind that, listen, brain and body, I want my hips and my chest and my shoulders to turn first before the arm starts coming forward to meet the ball. So many tennis players have this exactly the opposite. They get themselves set up, their arm goes first, and then their body follows through. I see this again and again and again with my students. Arm dominant, and then body is like an afterthought. And that's why they have this late contact position. So we're gonna just simply set up, turn with the hips and the shoulders, and just leave the arm totally passive and relaxed. And you'll just feel like a really gentle stretch here at the shoulder. Again, this is not the way you're gonna actually hit your forehand. We'll get to that in a second. This is just to get the sensation of my chest and my hips are initiating, my arm is following behind. So my hips and my chest are facing the net, and my arm here is just relaxed and just back. And it's just letting the band pull my arm just by holding on. Then the second step is to initiate and turn, and then let go and follow through. It's all right, it's kind of noisy. So you're just gonna let the stretch happen as your hips and your chest lead, and then let go and follow through. So this is just kind of connecting the dots here in your brain between the initiation of the swing and then contact and the finish. So stretch, then contact, then finish. And then once you get the hang of that, you can just drop a ball to yourself. I'm gonna use ball machine just because I happen to have one. And I'm gonna practice first making my lead with my body and make sure my racket follows behind, pull my hips and my chest forwards, and then swing my arm through. So I'll do that twice, hips first, arm comes through, and then I'll hit a ball. And my goal here is to initiate with the body and have the arm loosely in a relaxed fashion follow behind my body and go through afterwards. And when the body initiates and leads, contact will be in front, as long as your timing is correct. And that's kind of the last part of this, is just figuring out, okay, when do I initiate this if I want to meet the ball in a certain spot? But in my experience working with students, if I just focus on this, start with the hips, start with the chest, let the arm come behind, I don't have to talk to them about contact point, I don't have to say out in front, I don't have to say racket back early. They, without even talking about it, all of a sudden start meeting the ball way out in front because their body led the way and is doing most of the work, and their arm can just relax and find the ball in the right spot. Hopefully this has been super, super helpful. If so, click the like button, and I'll leave some more resources in the first comment down below. But feel free to leave comments or questions for me if anything doesn't make sense here. But hopefully it's all been crystal clear, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.